I got there to his show and he had 2 shirts. One was black and one was white, and he said, I really need you to wear this. And he held it up and it said White Lives Matter. And I instantly understood the meaning behind it. I understood what he was trying to do. I understood the creative genius behind it. I
like you. Look, you not born for the rap. Got the whole course on the map. Check, I'm not forcing the facts. Elf in the break like porcelain with cracks. Baby girl a force in the lap. Working like she know I got a portion in the back. Or reports on the Mac. Finna teach her, it's my course on my class. Keyword fuck it. Now highlight a portion of that.
Today on Artemis Talks, let's talk about All Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, and other organizations similar. But before we begin, I just want to let you guys know I'm going to be starting a new series on this white supremacy triangle I'm always talking about. And I'm going to make a video talking about each one of these issues. In the video before this one, I was talking about the stereotypical basketball people comments, how people were just saying it's just a joke and it's not that serious. But in this video, let's go over All Lives Matter and talk about how when Black Lives Matter was created, people yelled, but what about me? Firstly, what is BLM? Well, BLM stands for Black Lives Matter. It's a movement that's gained significant traction in recent years, particularly because of tragic killings of black people at the hands of police. This was one of the reasons BLM was created in the first place. Black people were just tired of seeing their people getting killed on the street, unarmed black men just getting torn out of cars and arrested for no reason. And they said, enough is enough, so let's come together, create a movement, and start preaching and telling people about how our lives matter. So Black Lives Matter was created to fight systemic racism and police brutality, specifically brutality in the black community. BLM first emerged in 2013. This was because of a guy that I'm sure we all know very well by now. His name was George Zimmerman. And he unfortunately ended the life of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin, and he was found not guilty. And Trayvon Martin was going home and was carrying Skittles and some other snacks from the corner store. The Skittles will become important later. But this happened, and black people everywhere and people of color and everyone worldwide really was really upset by this, and BLM emerged because of it. But because this incident happened, unfortunately a lot of people were saying that George Zimmerman did the right thing, that he was not guilty. George Zimmerman is just a guy who's trying to protect his neighborhood, that's one I heard. But those of you who believe that George Zimmerman was a good guy, give me 2 minutes to convince you otherwise. Let me show you who this guy really was. So after George Zimmerman ended up killing Trayvon Martin, he ended up getting really famous. And George thought to himself, what can I do to make money? Well, I'm really popular because Trayvon Martin died with Skittles in his pocket from the corner store. I also have this weapon I use to do the deed with. So Zimmerman did the only logical thing. Hold an auction for the weapon he used. Now, I made a video on this on TikTok a couple months ago, and I got some comments pointing out that it wasn't eBay he used to sell it on, because that's what I said. So I did some more research when making this video, and it was by the United Gun Group. Now, the auction had tons and tons of trolls, of course, but it also had very serious people and white supremacists who wanted to buy the weapon. The US Gun Group reports that it had a verifiable auction of $100,000. And in his auction listing for this weapon, he wrote, "This is a piece of American history. So own one today." Like, I don't even know what message this is trying to send. Well, sorry, I do know exactly what message it's trying to send. I'm just saying this is craziness. But now if you remember, I mentioned earlier in the video about the Skittles. But the auction and worldwide popularity wasn't enough for Zimmerman. And there were some unconfirmed reports going around that Zimmerman was doing some kind of book signing, but with a bag of Skittles. But this claim was fact-checked a while ago. Here's a good article on it by Snopes. And here's a post from a while ago from famous rapper T.I., where he shows Zimmerman signing these Skittles, all while mocking Trayvon Martin and his death and just laughing about it. To George Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin was an amazing way to make a profit. Trayvon Martin was the cash cow George Zimmerman never knew he needed. He probably wondered to himself why he didn't come up with this sooner. But here's one story I want to share with you guys. The owner of a gun shop in Florida that teamed up with Zimmerman to sell Confederate flag paintings after his gun supply store was mainlined for declaring itself a Muslim-free zone. I don't know, man. Maybe if you want to stay open and have people come to your store, maybe don't participate in Islamophobia. But anyway, but the Florida gun owner recounts a party trick that Zimmerman used to do for his fans. He says, one of the big party tricks that Zimmerman would do is that he'd always have a few bags of Skittles in his pocket. Then when somebody mentioned something like, "Hey, good job," George's response would be to take out a bag of Skittles, sign it, then hand it out. To me, when I hear about these things and hear about George Zimmerman, it really just feels like his hallmark and trademark now. Murdering an unarmed black child who was just trying to go home and have a snack. It has become part of his identity. He was no longer just George Zimmerman. He was George Zimmerman, the killer of Trayvon Martin. But lastly, on the topic of George Zimmerman, I want to give you guys a 2019 update because this thing happened a long time ago. What is he up to nowadays? How is he doing? Well, in 2019, he tried to sue Trayvon Martin's family and their lawyer for $100 million. Thankfully, a judge threw it out, but I still want you guys to see a clip of this interaction and this new story of what happened. And if you were old enough to remember this happening, let me know in the comments how you felt about this. How did you feel hearing about George Zimmerman doing all these things about Trayvon Martin and then him being found not guilty?
George Zimmerman and his lawyer are suing Trayvon Martin's family, their attorney, state police, and former state prosecutors, making the unsubstantiated claim that one of the witnesses at Zimmerman's 2013 trial was a fake. In a lawsuit filed in Florida today, they paint a grand conspiracy and are asking for $100 million. The timing of the lawsuit is curious.
Where I got to know George Zimmerman.
It comes as Zimmerman is promoting a new movie on these new allegations. Trayvon Martin's family tonight says once again they feel victimized. Their lawyer is calling this another failed attempt to defend the indefensible and a shameless attempt to profit off the lives and grief of others.
But anyway, I hope that gave you guys a little bit of a better understanding of who George Zimmerman was and why he was so harmful to the black community. But after all these things happened, after George Zimmerman's uncaringness and lack of empathy for the situation happened, the black community was really upset. Like I said earlier, the Black Lives Matter movement came to be because of this incident and other instances like it. There are so many stories about young unarmed black men getting unalived by police officers, by the neighborhood watch, by white supremacists in the Ahmaud Arbery's case. If you live in America and you're black, there will always be a risk because of your skin color. And Black Lives Matter is saying Black lives have and always will matter. And scream from the rooftops that these individuals, these young black men who lost their lives, Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, Trayvon Martin, Ahmaud Arbery, all these other people, their deaths were not in vain. So next, let's talk about All Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, and Blue Lives Matter, and why these groups and groups like them are such a problem for the black community.
Why do Black Lives Matter? All lives matter. How about all lives?
So what Black Lives Matter is saying and doing is not that all lives don't matter. We're saying listen to our voices, listen to the young men and women who are screaming at you, telling you that they're being victimized. All lives do matter, yes, but right now black people are the target of a lot of racism and a lot of white supremacy. And I've gone over in this video and hundreds of my TikTok videos and other videos why white supremacy is so harmful and bad. But I'm going to put it another way for you guys in case you don't understand. Like I did in my TikTok video I did about this issue a couple months ago. Imagine this with me. Unfortunately, your mom got diagnosed with leukemia, which is a type of cancer. Now you're really sad, broken up about this, and you're also really upset because her cancer treatment is really expensive. So you go out to protest and try to raise money for her treatment. You're making TikTok videos, you're asking your family and friends, you're doing everything you can to try to get money to save your mom. So one day you're at an event called Light the Night. It's hosted by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. This article says Light the Night is an event where blood cancer survivors and supporters join together in walks to raise funds for research, advocacy, and patient services. And you're at this event talking and mingling, talking to other cancer patient survivors, talking to other people who have parents who unfortunately have been diagnosed with cancer. And while you're at the event, someone bursts into the room and they're holding up a sign that says, "All diseases matter." And they come up and they scream to you, "Why aren't you talking about other types of cancer? Is leukemia the only disease that matters? My mom died from breast cancer. Why are you talking about leukemia instead of that? What about prostate cancer, kidney cancer, and all these other diseases that affect people on a daily basis? Do you not care about that? Are you saying at this leukemia and lymphoma event that you don't care about all the other diseases?" What would you guys say to this person in that situation? Here's what I would say. When I was saying that my mom's life mattered and I was trying to raise money for leukemia, I wasn't saying all these other diseases don't matter. I think it's really important to talk about all these other issues. But right now, my mom is going through something. And right now, my focus is really on leukemia and what I can do to prevent it. Yes, people facing breast cancer, their lives matter. But right now, I think we should be focusing on my mom's life. The Black Lives Matter movement really highlights the systems of injustices disproportionately affecting black people, whether it's police brutality or wealth inequality. But by shifting the conversation away from our struggles, the focus is diluted. And instead of talking about and addressing the issues facing the Black community, people start talking about themselves and other things. Do white lives matter? Yes. But right now, the Black community is under attack, not the white community. We are facing tons and tons of systems of injustice and inequality, and we've been facing them for decades and centuries. So I think it should be okay sometimes for us to want our voices to be heard. I think it's also important to address Blue Lives Matter. Because the thing is, there's no such thing as blue lives. I say Black Lives Matter because I'm Black. I can't take off my Black skin. I face horrible systems of inequality. I live in the deep South, it's not too nice here. I can't take off my Black skin even if I wanted to. If you're a police officer and you don't like your situation, you can just retire, get another job. Maybe it will be difficult, but you're not going to have systems of oppression holding you down as you're trying to do that. Being Black is part of who I am and my identity. A police officer is just a job, and jobs can be easily replaced. My life can't. But say there were injustices happening in your community and you wanted to do something to stop it. How would you go about that? Or how would you go about that without taking away from Black Lives Matter? Let's look at a great response to this and what Asian people did with Stop Asian Hate. Now, all of these movements usually have a genesis point or starting point. With the Stop Asian Hate movement, it was COVID-19. With COVID, a lot of people blamed China for the virus and in response blamed Asian people in America. I remember very specifically during this time watching the news and watching Trump spread this hateful rhetoric. Here's a clip of what he said.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
He said, I'm not trying to be racist, it just comes from China, I'm trying to be accurate. At the time Trump said this, scientists did not have reliable information that the virus came from China. But with this video and the 2 million other anti-Asian videos Trump did, he fueled and fanned the flames for these anti-Asian rhetorics. Asian people were just used as a scapegoat and something to blame. Now, Asian people could have named their movement Asian Lives Matter, but they chose to name it Stop Asian Hate. This was because they understood that adopting a similar name to BLM would inadvertently overshadow the significance of Black Lives Matter, and would have the same repercussions as the All Lives Matter movement. What they did with this movement was by highlighting these specific issues of hate crimes against their community and against Asians, they were able to raise awareness and foster solidarity amongst their community. They addressed the unique situation they were facing, which was these COVID-19 comments and that it came from China and that they were responsible for it. And they took that struggle while still respecting and supporting Black people and other people of color. And that's why their movement was so respected and did so well, while the All Lives Matter movement is heavily disliked and didn't do as well, because they respected other marginalized communities. So before I end this video, I want to give you guys an example of this Asian hate I was talking about. And this is from one of my favorite TikTokers. I've been following them for a while. And this clip isn't about the 2019 Asian hate. But what she talks about in this video is a white woman using Asian stereotypes as a joke. Go give her a follow and let's take a watch.
I'm TikTok famous! Woo! Well, you're actually more of a meme. Huh? I want to be ninja!
Jennifer, I've told you this before, but back in 2016, when you posted that I Want to Be Ninja video, it was racist then. And it is now 2023, and it is still racist now. And the fact that you invoke that video, any opportunity that you get, because it was that one little taste of celebrity that you had, is pathetic. I was gonna say it verges on pathetic, but it actually is fucking pathetic. And then resurrecting it again in, 2022, so gross. Come up with something new. Not this.
Things that traumatized me as a baby.
No, I didn't mean that either. Jesus Christ. But it's not just the fact that this video is still up or that you refer to it any chance that you get. It's the fact that you use it as a crutch or as a prop. Much like you do these Asian women that you use to promote your, magazine? Of course, also while appropriating their cultures and traditions. But it's the fact that you do this in the name of uplifting the voices of, young girls of color. Girls like her. So tell me, Jennifer, how can it be possible that you want to uplift the voices of women of color, particularly Asian women, it looks like, all while having this racist video up and continue to promote it any chance that you get? How is that possible? I think the reason is really fucking transparent. Because as you've said yourself,
Any publicity is good publicity. Always the optimist, huh? What's wrong with glass half full, anyway?
you don't care about them. You care about yourself. Also, that shit is corny as fuck.
Asian hate and these anti-Asian sentiments is a fast-growing ideology here in the United States. And if a movement called Stop White Hate came into being, that would take away from the Stop Asian Hate movement. Very similar to how White Lives Matter takes away from Black Lives Matter. Coming together as a community and calling out hate is extremely important. But it's also important to respect and support the unique struggles and challenges faced by each marginalized group without diminishing the importance of others. So I encourage you, when you hear people say that Black Lives Matter and it's important to talk about Black issues, that you not say that my life matters too and that we should talk about other things. Because we know and understand that your life matters and we also agree. We're just saying right now it's really important we talk about the issues at hand. And issues like police brutality and redlining, which are actively affecting the Black community. But anyway, that was my video on All Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter. And let me know in the comments what you guys thought about these issues. And let me know about other things you want me to talk about. Like I said, I'm going to be going over that white supremacy triangle and really trying to hit everything on that list. Obviously not like within like a week. It's probably going to take me a very long time because there's like 50 things and white supremacy is so widespread and such a big problem. And every time I make these videos, I'm like, okay, it's going to be 10 minutes and this one's going on 17 minutes. So there's so much stuff that I want to talk about and so much stuff that comes up when I start talking about these things. But anyway, I hope you have a deeper understanding of these issues and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.